Here's a highlight from today's Dennis Michael Lynch podcast.
So they want it to be they want a situation where only police and military are the ones that have the guns. That's the bottom line from the Democrats. That's their ideal state. We've seen a movie like that before too. It's called Schindler's List. So here, this was the tweet that I sent you from Andy Nigu, the journalist reporter who's been beaten senseless by Antifa and others. So he was talking about this story here. There's a woman named Leona Hale, who was shot 5 times by the police, running away unarmed. Black woman, pregnant. That's the big story that was coming out and fast trending on Twitter. So it was in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. So now all of a sudden the video comes out and the woman is clearly on the video holding a gun and pointing it at the police. So the entire story of, oh, look, the police shot this unarmed pregnant black woman 5 times for no reason, quickly dissolved. And they're still trying to push it. And this is where we don't see the Ministry of Truth show up anywhere. There's no little asterisks next to anybody's tweets that are still being tweeted right now, stating that this woman was unarmed and they shot her for no reason. And they start with the lie that, oh, white mass shooters are always taken into custody. Black shooters are always killed. And that's just simply not the case. We could just look to the last several ones where they've been apprehended, the suspects. And when they give up, they're apprehended. When they try to shoot it out, they're usually killed. So that's the story there that I had sent you this morning. And if you notice, if you look at the trends on Twitter, the top 30 trends right now, the Tulsa shooting was dropped like a wet towel. It's no longer even in the top 30 of the trends on Twitter this morning.
Well, you realize the reason why that is because it was a black guy.
Right. And one of the other tweets I had sent you was this. I want to make sure I say the name right. Radisi Bishot Hermia. I'm screwing the name up. She's the first female Haitian American Assembly member in New York City. So she puts out the tweet, and I sent it to you, that this was her direct saying, we can't even this was about the Tulsa shooting. We can't even process one mass shooting before the next occurs. Today's atrocity in Tulsa happened on the 101st anniversary of the Tulsa Black Wall Street massacre. White supremacy is clearly a factor. And she tags Joe Biden in it. And she's quote tweeting Karine Jean-Pierre, the speaker, the president's speaker there. So she's obviously putting out fake information. White supremacy is the case. The shooter was already identified as a black male between 30 and 40 years old. But they're still trying to push that narrative as fast as they can, because it doesn't matter if it's true or not. The narrative matters more than the truth does. We know that. But this is where, if you put out something like this, like say the election was rigged, you're fact checked and your tweets are pulled down and everything else. She's allowed to blatantly lie like this. And she's an assembly person or assembly member, whatever they can't say, assembly woman. But and obviously nobody fact checks her. The tweet has been retweeted, hundreds of times, liked, shared, and the narrative keeps going. So that's part of the problem that we're seeing here with this.
Of course. I mean, look, I'm going to read you the first 3 paragraphs off the DML News app about the Tulsa shooting, right? It says, 4 people were killed in a shooting Wednesday evening on a hospital campus in Tulsa, Oklahoma, police said. The gunman is also dead of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound, according to police. The shooting occurred a little before 5 p.m. local time on the campus of St. Francis Hospital, according to the Tulsa Police Department. Officers responded to the scene within 3 minutes, police said. The gunman was not identified, but was described as a black male believed to be between 35 and 40 years old. If I were to take those 3 paragraphs and simply change it to the gunman was not identified, but was described as a white male believed to be between 35 and 40 years old, this story is sitting at the top of the Twitter trending items. And like you said, it's not even there. In fact, and I'm tired of always blaming the left-leaning media only. Because if I go to Fox News right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm reading #1 story, Queen of Hearts, Britain's cheer for nation's longest serving monarch as crowd celebrates her jubilee. This is the #1 story on Fox News. Number 2, 3, 4, and 5, nothing about the Tulsa shooting. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 headlines. I still haven't seen Tulsa. But if Tulsa was a white man, it would be at the top of the fold. even on Fox News.
Click the share button now if you want to piss off a liberal.